I don't know. I can't even explain it. Dang it, I'm not going to cry on this. Oh, no, this was not supposed to happen. Oh. Gosh. You ready?
I can't take you serious.
I know, I can't take me serious either. Hey, folks. DJ here. You think that'll work for him? I feel like a dorkfish.
You are.
Well, I have a ponytail on, so it doesn't work real well.
See what that says? What's it say?
I'm a survivor sanctuary.
There you go, Lester.
Yeah. There's my new intro. Hey, folks. DJ here. Okay. So what's up, everyone? We're back with what I'm going to start calling episodes, not podcasts. I mean, this is not really a podcast, so I'm going to go with episodes. What?
Well, your idea to call it a podcast, so now we're changing it.
Well, I thought it was going to be more podcasty kind of style, but it's not, so here we are.
You want some headphones? Put some headphones on?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Hey, by the way, last week, episode 5?
5, yes.
Big hit, by the way.
Oh my gosh, so many emails.
So DJ, we're going to be crying in every episode. That's why we're going to call it episodes, because it's kind of like a seizure. We're having an episode.
No, I don't want to cry in every video, you know? I mean, but this is just kind of what stuff that we want to talk about, and so I feel like I'm a pretty emotional person, and
I'm not.
I mean, that's not entirely true.
But so, in all seriousness, though, just got home from the National Farm and Machinery Show. You guys saw that was our last video. If you missed it, go check it out. We had a ton of fun. Houston and I did. It was just him and I that went. But got to meet up with a lot of channels, a lot of guys that I watch. And it was even really cool. Like Brock from Rock Hill Farm had like 13,000 subscribers. And I'm with 650,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I'm like, that's Brock. I got to go say hi. You know, like he was like, whoa, what's going on here? But there's a lot of cool people. But all the meet and greets, we got to meet up with so many of our followers. Probably 300 plus came through. And the overwhelming majority of them had to comment about 2 things. The first was this podcast, episode, show, whatever we're calling it. Yeah. The chit chat show, whatever. And the second was that we share a faith on the whole channel, not just these episodes. Podcast, but that we share our faith through our channel, that we live it. And so many people, like Houston was like, Dad, are you going to cry? There was a couple ladies come through, like really kind of got emotional about last week's podcast. It was a podcast then. Okay. So they were all, and Houston was like, Dad, are you going to cry? I was like, no, son, it's so smoky in here. I don't know. But anyways, thank you guys for coming out. We sure appreciate it. It was a great day, couple days, had a lot of fun. So, on to today's. I have no idea what all we're talking about because this is her show. So
yeah, I didn't debrief him. Shut up. Oh my gosh.
I wear boxer briefs.
Oh my gosh. So I'm going to kind of play off of last week's. Just a little bit. I'm going to kind of roll it into our topic for today. Our cat is messing around over there. Anyway, last week we talked about law enforcement and what it's kind of like for the wife, and of course we went into pretty good detail, I feel like, for our story on that. And a few weeks back, y'all saw a video that me and a couple of my girlfriends did where we put pajamas on the goats. And I got an email asking to talk about who those 2 ladies were. And
it was just 2 random chicks. We just picked them up at a basketball game. We're like, hey, let's put some pajamas on the goats.
That's not exactly true. And so I wanted to kind of explain that. That just kind of prompted me to tell you who they are. And I want to talk about friendship and what that kind of looks like for us and to us and with our kids. So the 2 women that were on the video with us, chicks, as Daniel said, are my best friend law enforcement wives. we've been best friends with them for. I was talking to Jill about it the other day. One is Jill and one is Carrie, and I think it's been like 10 years. I think it'll be 10 years this year. Anyway, I can't believe it's been that long.
They've both been in a bunch of videos on our channel.
Yeah,
over the years.
They have.
You probably just didn't recognize them because usually when you see them,
we're at the beach.
They're in a bikini or something, at the beach. And
we're fishing on the water.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of wanted to talk about friendship because I see it like with my sister Katie, and of course I went through it. As a teenager, you start learning. First of all, how to be a friend, how not to be a friend, who you want your friends to be, who you want to keep close. And I feel like for me as a female, I think females in general struggle with female relationships more than guys do, because guys are guys and they're not near as emotional and I would say attached. I don't know what the right word is there.
So basically guys can be friends, get into an argument, end up in a knockdown, drag out fight, and then by the end of the day, they're buddies again.
Yeah,
it's
all over.
Let's go fishing.
Yeah.
And forget about it.
Females don't really work that way, in my experience. And I feel like growing up, when you're young, you have to figure that balance out. Who you are, who you want to be, and who you want your friends to be, and where you fit and where you don't, and who fits for you ultimately. I mean, I feel like when I was a teenager, 20-ish, I was in this weird phase of, you're trying to figure out who you are, just in general. And so you want to be friends with everybody. And you think if you don't have, 10, 15 friends to be with all the time or hang out and do stuff with, then it's not good. I don't know why I feel like I felt like that, but.
No, it's true. Do you know where that's the most obvious? You should, as a photographer. Where does that become the most obvious?
What do you mean?
At weddings.
Oh, yeah. Definitely
when you see
a
wedding and there's like 8 bridesmaids and 8 groomsmen, and you're like, I know you as a photographer probably are like, really?
Yeah.
Do you really have?
Yeah. These days, when we got married, I had three girls, and we still stay in touch with each other, but they're not my best friends now. They were my best friends for many years at the time, but life happens and people move off, and you just kind of only stay in contact through Snapchat and Facebook. I just, we only had 3. I only had 3 girls, and so I went through this phase of, I would even say after we started having kids, when Emily was little, I was home and doing the baby thing, and I had actually went and ate dinner with him while he was working one night, him and one of his buddies, his partners. And he was like, hey, DJ, do you have any single friends? I'm single. Do you have any single friends, you might could hook me up with? And I was like, no, And then I came home that night, and I think I cried for about 2 days because, I didn't have any friends. Not that I didn't have any single friends. I felt like I didn't have any friends, which is not true. I have friends, a lot of acquaintances. Of course, I feel like I'm friends with a lot of people. But to have that close friendship at the time, I mean, it was just he and I really. I mean, we're just here. And so
a baby attached.
Yeah, baby.
You were at home breastfeeding for a long time.
Yeah, and so that was really hard for me. I mean, it just really was. And then, I tell Katie and now Emily, they're at that age, especially when Katie was in junior high and high school, which is my sister, if y'all aren't familiar. I tell her it's about quality, not quantity. And it took me a lot of years to understand that, to really apply that in my life. And I would say, I mean, even after Emily, after she was, 2 or 3, it just took me a long time to be okay with that. I'm not for everyone, and everyone's not for me. And that is perfectly fine. And that is what I try to tell Katie all the time. It's not about how many. It's about the quality. And, you know, she and Emily both are, you know, in these phases of their life where they're learning that. And sometimes it sucks. Let's just be honest. Girls can be horrible. And, oh my gosh, women can be horrible. And I've made my share of mistakes. I've been crappy to people, I'm sure, before. And, you know, owned up to it. And really, yeah, I have. I know I have. I mean, I've had disagreements with people. I mean, I'm pretty headstrong, and you know, and I own that. You know, and that's what I want those girls to get to. You know, you can be wrong. You don't always have to be right. And I'm preaching to myself right now just as much, you know, as
I'm just sitting here being quiet. I like it.
Well, you like hearing I'm wrong sometimes? It happens, not very often, but, you know. But I just, I don't know, I just wanted to talk about friendship a little bit. You can chime in. Help me out a little bit.
Just listening. You're doing great. You're on a roll there.
I'm sweating a little bit. I'm not sure.
No, you're doing great. Yeah, you're on a roll. You're killing it, man.
Quality, guys. It's always quality. Little backstory with Jill. Her husband is a police chief in a local town not far from here. And I've known her husband longer than I've known her because she wasn't from here originally. And then when Daniel became a trooper, him and Mitch, her husband, worked together, you know, through law enforcement stuff, you know, happens. And she and I actually had gone to college together, had a few classes, and then life just kind of happened. It was before they got married, and life kind of happened and moved off and things. And then I think about 9 or 10 years ago, they started going to our church, and our friendship just like, I don't know, it was just like, I don't know. I can't even explain it. Dang it, I'm not going to cry on this. Oh, no, this was not supposed to happen. Oh, gosh. Why do I do this?
Because it means a lot to you. It's important.
Dang it. Anyway, God put them in our lives when we needed them. And they needed us. I truly believe that. And she has been my person for a long time. And so I want my girls to know that that they probably don't even know their best friend yet. Their person. You know, I mean, Daniel's my person, but my girl person, you know, I mean, it's different. Daniel and I talk about everything together. Probably more than we should.
But you got to have somebody to complain about me to.
Yes, 100%.
And your kids and just somebody else to be a sounding board.
Yes, and, you know, we might not talk for days or text or, you know, but then something happens or, you know, and then we're right there. It's like we never leave off. And then Carrie and Kane, you know, moved to Sulphur around that time, I think.
No, they were here long before that.
Long before that. Well, they started going to church with us too.
Yeah, Mitch and Kane were friends.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of all
yeah, and we
friends.
just all...
I mean, I knew Kane. Kane and I didn't work together a lot, but he was a park ranger, so we were friends, just not really outside of work friends for a long time. Yeah, and it's just having that circle of people that you trust with everything, and you know, no matter what, they've got your back. Even if you're wrong, you know, now I feel like they will tell us, you know, no. I mean, I'll even go as far as to say when Daniel, we told, you know, Mitch that, you know, you were going to retire early. That was a big deal.
That was.
We made plans to go eat dinner at their house.
Yeah.
And I was nervous.
Yeah,
scared
I had a pit
to talk
in
to
my
Mitch
stomach.
about it
Yeah.
because he's like the police chief.
Yeah,
he's the authority, not my police chief. I don't work for him.
Yeah.
We were friends, and all the officers at his department were scared of me because they knew I went on vacation with their boss. Like, it wasn't a work thing. It was just how do I tell him this?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
His opinion meant a lot, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And
not that I needed his approval.
No,
but it was still important to me.
Yes, and so that night it was really nerve-wracking, and then he's like, he reacted really well, and he wasn't sure.
He wasn't sure about it.
He wasn't sure, but he was being supportive. Yeah. and those are the kind of people you need in your life. I just that's the one thing I want my girls especially to know. I don't focus really a whole lot on friendships with the boys other than don't hang around goobers. I mean, it's just different with boys. It really is. Girls take everything in, and it's a whole thing with girls. And I want to teach Katie and Emily what I know now, not what I thought a friendship was when I was, 18, 19, 20, or even younger than that, because that is not, I don't feel like I'm that person now for sure. And I want Emily and Katie both to know that more than anything, you be a good friend no matter what the other people are doing. No matter how your friends are being towards you, you still be a good human being. You don't take a bunch of crap. I'm not encouraging that, for sure. But to be who you want to be, for someone, you be that for them. And I want Emily to extend a lot of grace, because I did not do that when I was young. I didn't. I mean, What? Say what you want to say.
No. I believe you. I mean, I know your mom, and I know how your sister is now, and it's like I'm not saying they're bad people by any means, but I'm saying I can see that. Like, DJ's this person. Like, you cross me, and I'm done with you. Like, I'm done. Bye. See you. Don't call back. See you. You're gone. Like, you get one chance. Yeah. Like, you probably held a grudge.
I did when I was younger, for sure, 100%. And I want to say that who I am now is not all because I just changed, or that was because of God, 100%. I feel like when you become a Christian and you start living like you're supposed to, you make different choices, and you try to be better. I feel like I fail all the time at things, but ultimately every day in my mind, I don't say this out loud, I don't share this with him every day, but I want to be a better human being than I was yesterday. Whatever that looks like, whether it's not raising my voice or, whatever it is, I just want to be better. And so,
it's like the 1% theory. You don't have to become a different person tomorrow.
Right.
But if you can do one thing every day to be 1% better, in a year, look how far you've come,
Right. And as far as extending grace, when I was younger, I did not do that. I mean, he is 100% right. If you wronged me, I was done. Like, okay, fine. But now I value friendships a lot more, because I understand them more. And so I'm trying to instill that in these girls that I have in my life. Not that I am the knower of all things, because I'm not, because they teach me things too, and I just want them to know what I know now.
So your 5 tips for good friendships are?
Find good people that fit in your circle, people that kind of believe in the same things that you believe in.
Yeah.
The way you live your life. We don't have non-believers in our circle.
Well, it's like this. It's, people say a rising tide lifts all ships. Well, that makes sense. But then there's also, and I can't remember what audiobook it was, there's some motivational speaker, I wish I could quote it, correctly, but basically you become the culmination of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you're running around with people that are that don't work hard, that don't have your belief values, that do things that they shouldn't do, over time that's where you're going to go.
Right.
But if you hang out with your top 5 people, have your best interest in mind, and they're good, hardworking, solid Christian believers, that's where you go. You know, you become your environment, really.
Yes. And you just have to put the right people in your life. And a lot of times that means removing people that don't need to be there. You know, I mean, we've been in situations before where it felt like it was going, our friendships were kind of going in a different direction than it didn't need to. And so we 100% have to pull back and be like, no, that's not what we're doing here. That's not who we are. And so we're going to change it. And even if we get flack from that, that's okay, because we know where we're supposed to be going and the people that we are supposed to be around. So our circle is small. We have some really amazing friends. Jill and Carrie are not the only ones. But you know who you are. And oh my gosh, I'm not going to cry right now. I'm not going to do it. I've got too many questions to answer.
Sound like you're accepting an award. You just don't want to go through the whole list of all the thank yous because you'll forget somebody.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't go down my list. I don't feel like I have a big circle. I don't. I have about 5 or 6 females that if I am like losing my mind, this is who I call. I would say 95% of the time, my mom's at the top of that list. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to do it. Okay.
You know what's crazy though, and what I've noticed with me personally is like I've got some really close friends, but as a guy, I think my friendships are a little different than yours. Obviously, we've talked about that, but like my best friend in the entire world has been my best friend since I was in 1st grade. Like, and Houston is named after him. Like,
yeah, he is
not named after Jimmy Houston.
No.
My best friend's middle name is Houston. And we talk. I mean, sometimes we go through spurts where we don't talk every day.
I don't believe you.
But we talk either through on the phone or through text messages just about every day. I couldn't tell you the last time we went to dinner with him and his wife.
I know.
Or went to the other's house. Like, it's different. Like, it's just, him and I have been best friends our entire life. Like, probably going to divulge too much information, but he went through a divorce. Like, but before, well, hang on, let me back up. Before he proposed to his first wife, he came to our house and picked me up and said, let's go for a ride. And I was like,
Yeah.
And he said, hey, here's what I'm wanting to do. Here's what I'm thinking. What are your thoughts? Like, that just shocked me. We were in our early 20s.
Yeah.
And they got married. It didn't last too many years. But when they got divorced, he just calls me out of the blue one day and says,
come help me.
hey, I need you to drive a truck. Get in the truck right now. Let's go. And I'm like, what are we doing? I don't know. I drive 40 miles to where they live, and we pack his stuff. And it was, anyways, those kind of friends, like, we don't have to be together all the time. And where I was going with that was, him and I talk all the time. We live in the same town. Like, we're close. We just don't. We probably should make it a more priority to go have breakfast together every once in a while or something. But it's just life. But we talk a lot.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed over the last few years, especially through this YouTube content, is I've met so many people. Like, I talk to guys that I had never met in person on a regular basis. Like, I talked to Jason from Cog Hill Farm today for what, 45 minutes?
Yeah, we had to listen to that conversation the whole way to Weston's basketball game.
But it was like, we talked for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And like, I talked to, Lester, fortunately, and I think the cat drug off his hat. But we talked, like, everybody gives us a hard time because they're like, oh, the bromance, Like Dutch and I have been friends for, I don't know, 5 years now. Like, we talk almost every day. Not all the time. I mean, it's usually text. And like, we have a group text with Dutch and Kevin and I. We chat all the time. And it's not just YouTube stuff. But like I get phone calls from guys that, I've hung out with some of them, like Dutch. But I like Jason from Cog Hill. Or Nathan from Out of the Woods, and just all these different guys that I talk to that I value their opinion. We become friends. We've never met in person. Like, is that not the craziest thing? Like, I value those guys' opinions because they are going through what I'm going through. It's kind of like we talked about last week with law enforcement and how your circle of friends becomes, when you're in law enforcement, your circle of friends becomes people that are cops or their families, and their wives know what you're going through. And it's no different with this. Like, with all this YouTube, it's a business with what we do as creators. And those guys that I talk to, like, they know what we're going through and what our issues are and our, celebrations. When something happens, they understand the accomplishments and the achievements, and it's been really neat getting to get close to people I've never seen in person. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I want to take that back to God too, because He puts people in our lives when we need them. I believe that. And I know I said that a while ago, and He takes people out when they don't need to be there. But it's looking back, like at my history of friends, I can just see Him working because, so many of our friends,
No, you're right. I guarantee you. I've probably got 4 or 5 people that I've never shook hands with. I've never seen face to face. If I called them right now and said, I need help, they would drop what they're doing as soon as they could and drive to Oklahoma. I have no doubt.
Yeah.
And God puts the right people in your life at the right time. And I'm not saying that my friends here wouldn't do the same thing.
Right.
I'm just saying that just floors me. That blows my mind that you can build those relationships with people that you really don't even know.
Yeah, and I want to say this too. I was a little, not worried isn't the right word, but I just was unsure on what friendships were going to kind of look like for him once he left work. Once he left being a trooper, I wasn't sure what that kind of looked like for him. But some of his had, one of his good partners had already retired, and so I knew that friendship would be fine. But you just don't know what that's going to look like, and as that evolves and changes, the right people are there when you need them, and I feel like it's just. I don't know, we go through seasons, I would say, but ultimately you figure out the quality of who your people are.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
how
long are we?
I kept you from crying.
We're not done yet.
We're like 25 minutes probably.
That's not terrible. Okay.
Let's see. Oh, we're 27 minutes in, so let's get into these questions here.
Okay, first question, Nicole said, can you tell me about your experience with juicing? I would say, 12 years ago? It's before Houston was born.
Yeah, I started juicing when Emily was about 2 years old. At that time, I wasn't overweight or anything. It wasn't a weight loss thing, but I made a decision to quit drinking soda pop, or Coke. We all just call it Coke around here. I quit drinking Coke because that's the only everybody call it's a Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, Pepsi, it's Coke.
Yeah.
So I quit drinking pop, and I watched a documentary. I used to watch a ton of food documentaries, and there was one called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And this guy lived from Europe, came to America and went on this big juice fast and went all over the country. It's a cool documentary. And Joe Cross is his name. He lost 100 and something pounds just juicing fruits and vegetables. Now, I wasn't going on a strict juice diet, but I bought a juicer and started juicing in the mornings, and I noticed, especially once you could get more vegetables and less fruits, I noticed it was really holding me over. At lunch, I wasn't hungry when I was working. Usually in that patrol car, you know how you are when you're in a car, you just want to eat while you're driving around. And I'd get to lunchtime and not even be hungry. And the combination of quitting drinking pop and starting juice, I probably lost 20 pounds. Not that I was overweight, but it just trimmed up easily. And I juiced for, I don't know, a couple of years. Yeah,
before I did.
Yeah.
I would try it, but especially when he started getting more vegetables than the fruits in it, I couldn't do it. Ugh.
If it was green, she was like, nope.
Yeah.
She'd juice apples and oranges and stuff.
Oh, but
that's just a lot of sugar there still, really.
Right, yeah. But and we go through phases. I would say we go through phases. It also kind of depends on what we have in the garden at the time. We don't juice a lot during the winter because vegetables and fruits aren't very good during the winter.
We have in the past. Like I've grown a lot of stuff. Greens taste really good in the wintertime. So this winter we didn't juice a ton. We're like, I would say in the last month or so we've really got back into it and trying to do it more.
Yeah. It's really good. It's super healthy, and I really think the main key with juicing is to get a really good juicer. I will say the first juicer he bought, I almost had a stroke because we did not have much money then at all, and it was $200, and I about died. But it is still fully functional. I mean, we've upgraded since then.
We gave it to your mom.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, sorry.
Breville is the brand.
Breville.
And that's just because that's the movie Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. That's what he used. And I didn't know the first thing about juicers other than I did some research and it said if you spend $50, you're going to get a $50 quality and a lot of your juice goes down the drain.
Right, and we did not want to waste.
So I bought the brand that he used in the movie.
Yeah, and so all the pulp that we use from juicing goes to the chickens and now Pepper.
Yeah,
Pepper. Second question. Ed sent in actually a couple questions.
Welcome back, Ed.
Yes, he missed last week. So, who have you looked to for life lessons and spiritual motivation? What would be your answer?
I mean, my dad was a huge influence most of my life. I mean, he was my because my mom died in a car accident when I was so young. He was kind of my, I don't know. He was my dad, but I mean, he was the person I looked up to the most, and he was very instrumental in so many things, and even stuff he said when I was a kid that even after he was gone, he passed away when I was 21. I think he was kind of, I remember a lot of things he said that I hated at the time. I think he did a wonderful job in shaping who I became even after he was gone. I don't know if it's I don't know how to put it, but Brad Ransom, our first pastor at the church we go to now, he was only our pastor there for less than a year. But I grew up with his kids. I wasn't at his house all the time, but I looked up to Brad for years, and then he was our pastor, and he married us, and like I feel like he's a person that I've looked up to for years. He lives in Nashville, Tennessee now, but I still keep up with him, and I call him every once in a while. But I think he is a very, I don't know. I think if we'd have started at a different church, we'd have probably bounced around and moved around.
I agree.
And we started a church, and we fell in love with the church.
A very good foundation.
Yeah.
I mean, we did our premarital counseling with him, and I remember being in there with him, and he would ask us a question, and we had the answer. We didn't, stumble through them, and he was like, when we were done, he was like, I'm really surprised y'all have talked about all that stuff, and I'm like, okay, is there something else, and anyway, he was just, he gave us a really wonderful foundation for our faith, and he left, I don't know, 6 or 8 months after we were married, maybe.
Yeah, he got promoted. He didn't just quit the church.
No, he didn't.
He got promoted to like Oklahoma missions director, and now he's like national, like not world missions, but home missions for the Free Will Baptist Association. So any church plants in the continental United States and a few other places, like he's over all missions work for the Free Will Baptist Association. So
done a lot of great things.
Cool guy.
Yes. So for me, life lessons, I'd have to say my mom and my grandma, my mom's mom. For both of those things, my nanny is pretty spiritual, and she's talked to me for years. We would go to church with her all the time, and she would be one for me. And I was also going to say, Dick, our current preacher.
You're a suck up.
Listen.
You're a suck up.
I have called that guy many of times, and I've gone to his office many of times. I'm going to cry. Dang it. Just talking about things that I needed to talk about. And not knowing what to do. And He's not your typical preacher. I'm going to throw that out there. He's extremely ornery. But he's always got time for me. No matter if he has the time or not. He's great, and he's the reason we've stayed there. There's been some things where, times where we thought maybe we should change, and we just couldn't, because we love him and we love our church family. So those would be that. And then the next question Ed had is, do you have any memories of a special past pet?
Oh gosh.
Just one. You get one. You get one.
No. 2.
Fine.
So I grew up with weenie dogs, miniature dachshunds. We got Gemma here now. She's a pain in the butt, but I love her. And my first love was a red, short-haired weenie dog named Rojo. She was like my buddy when I was way younger than Houston. Now she went everywhere with me. We hunted rats and mice and crickets and anything we could flip over a log, snakes, and she was incredible. And Doppler was the first dog not the first dog we got. We had one that got hit by a car, but the first weenie dog, our first weenie dog together, and we weren't even married yet when we got Doppler.
It was before
we got
your
it for
dad
Weston. We let my dad buy it. We let my dad give it to Weston.
Yeah.
When he was laying in this living room in a hospital bed, dying of cancer, we gave it to Weston for Christmas. Her. We named her Doppler because she was.
No, he named her. He named her.
She was a silver dapple, short-haired dachshund. And my dad was like, "What's a dapple?" And he ended up calling her Doppler.
Yeah.
Doppler. She's Doppler.
It just stuck.
So that's what we called her. And she was like way too young to be pulled away from her mama when we got her.
We didn't
know that. We went and picked her up, and this little puppy was like fit in my palm of my hand.
She was probably 4 weeks.
Yeah. So the first month of her life, I was like a kangaroo. She lived in my hoodie pocket. It was Weston's present, but he was in school and stuff.
Yeah,
and
he was.
When I was home, we went somewhere, that puppy was in my hoodie pocket. And my dad ended up passing away like 2 days, 3 days, maybe, after he gave Doppler to Weston. So she was very, very special to me.
Yes. And it's very tragic that she passed. I accidentally ran over her. It was horrible. It was horrific. I don't want to talk about it. Now it's my turn. I'm going to go with on my special past pet. I'm giving it to June because she was our original goat.
One of 2 originals.
She was. So before we had any animals, we didn't even have cattle anymore at the time. I don't think.
Nope.
No. I found these 2. I found these 2.
This was all you.
They were 2-day-old twins, bottle babies. Their mama had kicked them off. We drove actually to Purcell, and this lady gave them to me in a diaper box. They were tiny, so tiny. And they were brother and sister, a little black and white, half pygmy, half boar.
Probably more on the pygmy side.
They were definitely more pygmy.
They were tiny.
Yeah. And so we named them Johnny and June. And we've got pictures. They stayed in here in like a little dog carrier. And we've got pictures of Emily like in the dog carrier, sleeping and laying down with them all the time. And so they were in here for a while.
I would say if you go watch Shirtless Jake's Homestead on YouTube or Facebook, he's got a little bottle baby right now. That was June.
That was June. Yeah,
she was just like that.
Beth is June. She was like my baby. Oh my gosh. And when they were getting too big and, too much pee and poop, they had to go outside. So we kicked them out on the porch. And then they were our porch goats.
Destroyed a grill.
Yeah.
Because they could jump up on the grill. Anything they could get on, they destroyed.
Yeah. And then, I'm telling on myself. I accidentally ran over Johnny. But he was fine. He had a broke leg and ended up walking just fine. He was perfectly fine. But the older he got, started getting mean. And so we had to sell him. It was very sad. We had to get rid of him.
He was just aggressive. And
Yeah.
he was banded. He was not an intact male.
No.
But man, he was mean.
Yeah, and with Emily being little and stuff out there all the time, we just couldn't have that. And so we had June forever, and I don't know how old she was.
Probably at least 6.
Yeah, I was going to say 6 or 7. And we had been somewhere at a ball game or something, and we had some panels leaned up against some trees out there, and we think when she was like rubbing up on there, they fell over on her, and it was summer, and she was just trapped and couldn't get out. So that was awful.
Yeah.
But we do still have like one of her grandbabies.
Yeah, one of her granddaughters. One of our little gray colored goats. Is still her lineage.
Yes. So that's kind of neat.
We have lots of videos of June. If you go way back on our channel, like our early kid goat videos, goat kidding videos, like she'd come up, she was my buddy. She'd sit there with me while I waited on another goat to have kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Moving on.
Okay, number 3. Christine wants to know, why did you pick the animals you picked for the farm?
That's a dang good question. It started with 2 goats.
It started with the goats, and of course,
And 2 goats turned into like, my wife got a small addiction to auctions.
Oh, I did.
And when you go to a goat auction, you're not getting the cream of the crop. You're getting the ones that people don't want anymore, or are sick, or have problems. And there's lots of bottle babies, and there's lots of little... There's a lot of people in this world that suck. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
And they'll have 2 abandoned orphan little babies and a doe that might have just had babies. And they put them in a trailer together and send them to an auction pretending that they belong together.
Yeah, and they don't.
And sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
And you come home not knowing what you're doing, and you're like, oh, this mama and her 2 babies. Why won't they eat? Why won't they nurse? And we brought home a lot of babies.
Yeah.
Lots of babies.
We did a lot.
Lots of sick babies.
Yeah. We did a lot of bottle feeding and, medicine and all that. Yeah. So goats, it was goats. And then, of course, we had chickens, and we had...
Way before that, we had a whole herd of longhorn cattle. Lester.
Yeah, we did. We had a lot of longhorns.
Longhorn Lester. We had longhorns.
We did.
A whole herd. We had a bull, I promise you, that would make Tex looks like a tic-tac.
Yeah.
And some really big horned cows.
Yeah. And we got rid of them.
Shorthorn Dan.
And then we did the goats. And then what was next?
The goats kind of expanded and expanded and expanded.
Just grew.
We had goats. I mean, we still have goats, but that's been, well, Emily's almost 14, so 12 years we've had goats.
We've had goats
longer.
nonstop. Yeah.
I mean, we've had a few animals here and there, but the alpacas.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, I wanted something different.
Yeah.
And not big, So I reached out to a good friend of ours that we would always go to the auctions with. He does a lot of exotic animal stuff. We went to his little petting. What's it called?
It's like a walk-through petting zoo.
Yeah.
Exotic animal park.
Yes. Over in Fletcher, Oklahoma. And anyway, he hooked me up basically with this lady
He hooked you up.
that was selling these alpacas, and so we went over there and we got them, and it was so cool. And they're just neat creatures, just watching them. And
I've been putting up with Rufus ever since.
Yes. And we've had questions. We're not getting rid of Rufus. We're hoping to either stud out, a male, borrow a male, or I'm not sure how that's going to work. I don't want to buy another male because then we'll have to get, Rufus fixed, and don't really want to have to do that.
Yeah, we'd still have to keep them separated. I'm
Yeah, we would, and I just think it'd be a whole mess. But we don't want to get rid of Rufus. So
no, man, he's too cool.
And we could have bred the females before now with another male, but we didn't want them having babies, in January or February of next year. So we're kind of
wait until spring.
Yeah, to kind of time the delivery of the babies better.
Yeah. Next was the donkeys. The donkeys. A friend of mine that used to be a deputy that I worked around called one day out of the blue and was like, "Hey, you want some donkeys? They're miniature." And I was like,
yeah, we do.
Not really.
We do.
And I said, how much? And he said, if you'll come get them, that'll be the fee.
Yeah.
So he had them for years with his horses, and just decided they didn't really have time to devote much attention to them anymore. And so we went and picked up 2 donkeys. And ever since then, everyone's tried to buy those donkeys for a lot of money.
Yeah. No, I'm not getting rid of my donkeys.
But
I do want another one.
Apparently, donkeys used to be worth nothing.
And now they're
Miniature
worth a
donkeys.
lot.
I don't know about big standard, but miniature donkeys in our area
Are outrageous. Yeah. I want a spotted mini Jenny, but I cannot find one that is not absurdly
What are you talking
priced.
about? One sold the other day. We watched the auction.
For $3,600. That's insane.
For a donkey.
For a donkey. Yeah, no. Not
Then
happening.
the mini Herefords.
Yeah.
The reason we got mini Herefords is because mini Scottish Highlanders
Are outrageous.
are just like the miniature spotted donkey.
Yes.
Like, that's what she wanted. And I would really... We've done entire videos about why we have such a modge podge of animals. To sum it up, basically, instead of being a full-on cattle farm or full-on goat farm, with our YouTube, Facebook content and all of our videos, having all the different animals just makes it, well, like an online petting zoo. Like an online, we're an online farm. Like, we share our animals with people around the world that don't get to have them. So if we had just a herd of cattle or just a herd of goats, I feel like it would get boring.
I agree.
And it's entertaining. They're fun. And so the mini Herefords came along because the mini Scottish Highlanders were outrageous.
Yes.
And the mini Herefords are kind of dual purpose. I mean, they're neat, small cattle, but they're still big enough they could be used for beef.
Yeah. But these we're not going to eat. We're not. So, the point of this whole episode, guys, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, and I'll probably end up putting it on a t-shirt at some point. Be a blessing, not a burden. I've told my kids this for years, if they listened, you know. My daughter does more than the boys, for sure. But be who you want to be for other people, you know, who you want. Did I say that right? Does that make sense? Be the friend you want, is what I'm saying. I might not have made
It's just the golden rule. You could have summed this whole podcast up if you just read the golden rule.
No, that's not.
It's not a podcast. It's an episode.
Yeah. So, with that being said, my song of the week, hopefully Daniel will remember and put the link in there to the video for this, because the video, I love this video. I cannot watch it without just losing my mind. There are some songs that I don't listen to when other people are in the car with me because I go into the ugly cry. Like the whole time I'm listening to the song. And
so you're saying listen to this song in private?
You don't have to if you're not as emotional as me. But I correlate just about everything in my life with music. Music's a huge part of my life and always has been. And so I do a lot of praise and worship through my music, and just a lot of, I don't know, what am I trying to say?
She makes a joyful noise.
I do. I'm not a good singer, but that's just how I release a lot of stress, is singing. And that's why I like being in the car alone sometimes, because you just get that time to just cry it out. And anyway, so this song it's called Talking to Jesus, and it's by Elevation Worship featuring Brandon Lake. Go listen to it, Talking to Jesus. And if you don't do that, you might should try it.
Good stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Hope we didn't bore you too long. Too much.
Too long. You're like probably about 45 minutes in on this, if I'm guessing.
Oh, geez. I was trying to keep it shorter.
You didn't.
The questions are so good.
Right. I just want it to be known. I didn't say a lot on this week's episode.
No.
So don't be spanking me in the comments for cutting
Last week's weren't
her
bad.
off.
Last week's weren't bad.
But, so, if it's a 45-minute long show, just know, Chitty Chatty Chatterbox here couldn't stop talking. And you did a great job.
Thank you. I kept it together. I didn't cry very much.
Really?
I said very much.
Okay, very much.
All right, guys.
I know what the first 5 seconds of this video is going to look like when I edit it.
Of course.
I'm not going to cry.
Jeez, he likes to exploit me.
Do your best.
It is what it is. Do your best, guys. Have a good week.
Maybe that should be on a t-shirt too.
Do your best.
Do your best.
Do your best. That's what Papa says.